Good day. I'm a little bit late on my Chief Coffee Chats by 2 weeks. I've been a little disturbed by what I talked about previously about there's no suggestions from these two guys about helping men. Because according to both of them, don't get married, don't have kids, don't lose half your stuff, and 2 or 3 generations, nobody will be left on the planet Earth, the way they talk. But whatever. I'm going to do something different today. Back in my youth, many years ago, as some people would say, I used to get the Epic magazines. And they were kind of like another heavy metal magazine, if anybody's familiar with those even. Epic had a lot of short stories, illustration stories, what we call graphic novels, so they had like graphic stories. Some of the magazines I fully did not enjoy because some of the stories are just so bizarre because yes, I like adventure, science fiction, and fantasy and stuff like that, but at the same time I don't like stories that are kind of end on a downer. And before I got rid of all those magazines, which I won't talk about, I wrote from one of the magazines a story or a poem or a ballad, I guess you could call it. And I tried looking it up online and I got the guy's name. I had failed to write the guy's name to give him credit. And this story is written by a guy named Patrick Mason. And it was illustrated and it was gray, not really full of bright colors, because it is a dark ballad, but I love it and I hope I do it justice as I read it to you. And I'm going to have to put on my reading glasses. I got to switch glasses. And yes, I'm going to look like a nerd because I got a little bit of tape because I broke one of the nose thingy bobbers, so don't make fun of me too much. It's called Ein Heldentraum. Now, why did he name it A Hero's Dream in German? I have no idea because other than the title, we have no other German words. So, A Hero's Dream, it's called. I hope to inflect it correctly and everything else. At least the way I feel it should be. So, Ein Heldentraum by Patrick Mason once again. To those outside, that house must have seemed a prison where I, as a sick and bedridden child, was held in the oppressive pallor which clung so fearfully to its walls. I, however, really did not know while growing up there that the sounds I heard were not perhaps Beethoven's triumphant and terrible spring marching by, or that the light which filtered through to me was not the same which guided Millet's peasant home. The full glare of noon, the deep laughter of victorious young lovers never reached me. Or if it did, I didn't notice. For surrounding me were doors, windows, turreted gates to a bright, enchanting world which was always new and always mine. A world revealing its broadening vistas to my horizon-hungry eyes. I was free there, free to feel the sharp, stinging salt wind of distant seas slashing my face. Every need, emergent and primal, was met by the very environment which had created the necessity. Life was sword and blood and unsought for adventure at every turn, where weak men followed the stronger vision of a stronger dreamer. We leveled the temples of greed and injustice and erected a framework of opportunity and possibility within which to manifest our heroic ideals. In lust for conquest, My blood ran hot with the dreadful joy as my sword ripped the belly of a death-dealing dragon. Frenzied from battle, I saw her there revealed. The eyes, which I knew so well. The eyes which knew me. I had come to her without hope. But now, she came to me with life. I learned what solitude and bravery could never teach me. Her presence was peace. Her touch was... I trembled as she led me to reach beyond sight and sound and self. To follow her. To join her. Yes, all of life had conspired to bring me to this. Unafraid and finally whole and healed. I knew it, I knew it. Did I not? But the light gray, the sound dead and too near, and I here, alive and alone, here. Why did she waken to me? Why did I ever have to know? Why is it the real prison, so free of gates and bars and doors, so free of dreams? I've read this throughout the ages. It's in my book. I got my own poetry book here, so to speak. This is poetry that I've written in my youth, most of it prior to copying that. I've read that through the ages, and every time I read it, it's like I read it differently. It's like the inflections come and go differently. But that's all I got for now. I'm not in a funk, or not a blue funk or anything like that. I've just been troubled by what I've talked about previously, and if anybody watched my other channel, or playlist, I guess I should say, I just talked about how a female soldier that I met with 4 kids told me she's never going to fall in love again. She's never going to get married. And I laughed at her, and she just looked at me. She goes, "Chief, I know what I'm talking about." Well, come to find out, after being stationed there for 2 years with her, she did find somebody who was going to tolerate her 4 kids. So there was a fine gentleman out there. I mean, she wasn't one of these wackos that they always put on these dating channels, or against dating. I don't know what to call them. But if anybody watches Freedom Tunes, they did a parody today, which was really hilarious. It's like every dating podcast, and they were picking on whatever, if you know who that guy is. So this is Chief. Just wanted to read something different. Maybe I'll read more. I don't know. There are other things that I've got that have meant something to me throughout my life. I mean, I read Khalil Gibran, if anybody knows who that person is. I read him all the time, and I used to carry him. And one of my soldiers asked me one time, he says, "Why do you carry that book with you all the time?" I said, "I find peace and solace in it," which I did. So this is Chief out. Freedom's not free. You know what to do with the vet. See ya.